Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm back at my place now and I can go ahead and make these videos. I know it's late, but it's better late than never, so let's dive straight into my Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao review. The first thing I have to say is this was easy money. This was some of the easiest money I've ever made. You know, this was almost free money. I mean, it really was, not even almost. This was free money. I'm just going to say when it got to round 9, I was already fully operational as a taxman, basically. In other words, I was operating in the capacity of a taxman. What that means is all of the people who were in my immediate vicinity, I was taxing them at this point, you know, because these are people I had bets with them. So it was free money. You know, I've never made so much from one fight because I couldn't honestly believe that these people actually thought Manny Pacquiao stood a chance in there. For 6 years, I've told these same people who I'm now taxing, this boy has no chance to beat Floyd. Never had, never will. Not even in his dreams would he ever be able to see himself winning a fight with Floyd Mayweather. It's not possible. Manny Pacquiao does not have what it takes to beat Floyd Mayweather. The style is absolutely not going to beat Floyd. I told these guys 6 years ago. I told a number of dehydrated insomniacs on YouTube the very same thing. I can remember myself on many occasions making it clear that after the 6th round, this fight will not be competitive in any way. And Pacquiao does not win a single round after round 6. You see, as I was watching this fight, by the 3rd round, when Floyd was already 3 rounds up after the 3rd round, you know, I was simply laughing uncontrollably because I looked at the faces of the people around me and they couldn't believe what they were watching. And they also knew they had a lot of money to pay because of all the bets that they had, you know, and I was just laughing uncontrollably because I told you for 6 years and you still went and bet that Manny Pacquiao would win. Now it's time for you to pay. Let's just talk about some things that Pacquiao doesn't understand. And obviously, a large number of dehydrated insomniacs obviously don't understand. Range control. Range in boxing is something that you absolutely have to understand. If a guy is unable to find and establish his range, he's not going to be as active as you think he is. I'll repeat what I just said. If a guy is unable to find and then establish his range, he will never be as active as you think he's going to be. Because sometimes common sense is not very common, as we know. Don't people understand that if a guy is outside your range, you're not going to be throwing any punches because they're not going to land? Okay, it really is just common sense. This is something that even children know this. You know, even children know that if somebody is outside your punching range, your punch isn't going to land. So, of course, you had Pacquiao in there and Floyd is sitting just outside his punching range, using his lead hand to dictate his range and measure his distance from Manny Pacquiao. Now, if people remember correctly, and if I'm not mistaken, I made a breakdown video where the very first point I talked about in that video was the difference between Manny Pacquiao's jab and Floyd Mayweather's jab. Now it all makes sense in hindsight why I talked about their jab. You see, because now that you've seen the fight, you see that Floyd has a wonderful jab. You see how he has the longer reach, and you see how he was able to sit outside Pacquiao's range, but he was capable of stepping in with the jab, moving to the left behind his jab, and then stepping right back out of Pacquiao's range to the point where he's nullifying Pacquiao's offense. I kept telling people Floyd would neutralize Pacquiao's offense simply based on range control. Pacquiao could never beat Floyd because Floyd would just use that jab to nullify and neutralize Pacquiao's offense, stepping into his range and then stepping right back out of Pacquiao's punching range, and Pacquiao comes falling in and he falls short every single time. And this is what I was trying to let people know in my breakdown videos. That's just one of the reasons. The other thing is Pacquiao still has no understanding of how to cut off the ring. I can walk into any gym in the UK. I can definitely walk into any gym in the US and I can blindfold myself, I can spin around and make myself dizzy, and I can walk up to the very first person just at random and pick anybody in the boxing gym, and I guarantee you they'll be able to cut the ring much more proficiently than Manny Pacquiao, and much more effectively as well. You know, and I'm not joking when I say I can just walk into any boxing gym, any time of the day, blindfold myself, you know, any day of the week, and just pick somebody who can cut the ring off more effectively than Manny Pacquiao. That's not a joke. I'm trying to let people know there's levels to this. There's levels to boxing. Pacquiao was never on the level of somebody who could beat Floyd Mayweather. It's not possible. Looking at the skill set of Manny Pacquiao, it's just not possible. It's not physically possible. That's why I kept saying people have unrealistic expectations of what this man can do with Floyd. It's just, there's no way, looking at the styles, there's just no way Pacquiao could win the fight. I struggled to make those videos. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, I struggled to make those videos, those breakdown videos, because every time I tried to bring forward some kind of game plan as to how Pacquiao could win this, I just couldn't believe that he would even be successful. That's why I struggled to make those videos. And now, after what you guys have seen, you can see exactly why it was very difficult to actually find any way Pacquiao could win this. And this is the amazing thing, that this became this huge super fight where people realistically believed Pacquiao would beat Floyd. People actually thought that would happen. I mean, people actually believed Pacquiao stood a chance in there. They actually thought he would win this fight. This is Pacquiao we're talking about. So he has no jab. He has no understanding of range control. Doesn't even know how to cut off the ring effectively. Let me just quickly say something. The first thing you have to look for in an opponent of Floyd Mayweather is if the person has a jab. Let me just give you Dehydrated Insomniac something to hold on to from now on, even though you only have one more fight now, because Floyd is going to be, retiring in September. When there's an opponent in there versus Floyd Mayweather, you have to ask yourself a question. And the first question has to be, does this guy have a jab? You see, because once the answer to that question is no, meaning that this person doesn't have a jab, there's 0% chance he's going to win the fight. It's just that simple. Sometimes things are just that simple. When you looked at Manny Pacquiao, you had to have understood from day one, this is a guy who doesn't have a jab. This is a guy who has no understanding of range control. This is a guy who still doesn't even know how to cut off the ring effectively. That's something you learn, in just a few weeks at a boxing gym. Manny Pacquiao still doesn't know how to cut off the ring effectively. That's why I've always believed this super fight was asinine. For this to become one of the biggest fights in boxing history, it was an asinine situation. How people could look at all of the faults of Pacquiao's style. Already lost 5 times, so he's already found a way to lose 5 times. Been knocked out 3 times. For people to look at a guy who is physically smaller than Floyd, less reach, less height, not as strong as him, not as big as him. So this is a guy who truly has no physical advantages. For you to look at a guy like this, and then look at the fact that he has no jab. So this is a guy who has no jab, who has no understanding of range control, no understanding of distance control, no understanding of how to even cut off the ring effectively. For people to look at a guy like this, with that style that Manny Pacquiao has, and to think he can actually beat the best pound for pound, skill-wise, the best boxer in his era, is the absolute sign of severe dehydration and sleep deprivation. This is why I call these people insomniacs, because we know what they're doing at night and they're not sleeping. They're not sleeping. This is the problem. They refuse to drink the life-giving fluid. They won't sleep at night. Every morning, these people are absolutely dizzy. Their brains are decomposing. These people are dehydrated and they don't even understand you have to have oxygen. I mean, even when you speak to children, they will tell you that oxygen is something that we do need. This is something that even the children will tell you. But it just goes to show you how people can be so emotionally attached to somebody such that they don't use their logical sections of the brain. In other words, the logical faculties of their brain. And they actually think this guy can beat Floyd. But now I also want to touch on the fact that this was really a domination by Floyd, because all you have to do is look at the punch stats. You will see Manny Pacquiao threw 429 punches and he landed 81. 81 punches out of 429 is truly disgraceful. That is an absolutely fantastically stupid connect percentage. Shocking statistics from what people think is the guy who could have beat Floyd. 81 punches out of 429. Shocking statistics. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that Manny Pacquiao was landing something on average of 6 punches per round against Floyd. I mean, can you listen to what I'm saying here? 6 punches per round he was landing. I mean, listen to the statistics. He was landing on average 6 punches per round. I mean, it's just unbelievable that people actually thought this guy could win. And now the comedy continues yet again, because you have people making excuses. It's funny now, you have people saying, well, Floyd was running, Floyd was hugging and all the rest of this. I find these excuses very hard to understand, because I've never seen a fight before where somebody was able to outpunch his opponent, outland his opponent, and basically humiliate his opponent winning 10 rounds to 2, who was also running away from his opponent. I've just never seen something like that before. So how can I run away from you but throw more punches than you did? As you look at these images right now, it looks like Manny Pacquiao's head is snapping backwards. Okay, now when your head is moving backwards, that means something must have bounced off your head. And in a lot of these images, that's that right hand from Floyd. So what we're looking at is really images of Floyd Mayweather bouncing his right hand off of the boulder on this man's shoulders. And like I said, all you have to do is look at the size of Pucci's head. There was no way Floyd was going to miss Manny Pacquiao's head with that right hand. And yeah, I'm talking like this because you idiots hyped this fight for 6 long years, and you said this was the guy that can beat Floyd. You also said if Floyd beats this guy, he's definitely going down in history and he cements his legacy. And this is going to be the most incredible thing. Now I'm seeing dehydrated insomniacs making excuses. So what that means is you're not taking the defeat graciously. For 6 long years, you gave us so much garbage, so much nonsense, including a lot of racism, based on this fight. And now we've seen the results. Pacquiao was never on that level. That boy had a big head. Floyd was bouncing right hands off of that boy's head, and from the 6th round, it wasn't even competitive in the slightest. 81 punches out of 429 is shocking. It's disgraceful. The more you look at things, you realize that Team Manny are really a bunch of freaks. Okay, the reason why I say these are a bunch of freaks is because before the fight, they were talking a good game. You had the joke coach, Roach, telling everybody Manny hates Floyd. Manny's punching harder than ever. Manny's really coming in as the best Manny we've ever seen. This is the best Pacquiao we've ever seen. He's going to win this fight. We're going to KO Floyd. We're going to do all this. We can KO him in round 1. He really doesn't like Floyd. These are some of the things Freddie, the joke coach, Roach, was saying. Of course, a man who was nothing but a biological android when he was boxing at that time. A human punching bag, if you will. But see, Manny gets schooled in the ring, loses 10 rounds, basically, doesn't win any more than 2. He goes out there and embarrasses himself, lands 81 punches out of 429, which is an embarrassing statistic. That is a humiliation of Manny Pacquiao. Then all of a sudden, in the post-fight press conferences, his right shoulder was injured 3 weeks ago. And, one group will say he was injured 2 weeks ago. Bob Arum says it was 3 weeks ago. Freddie Rose says something different. So when was he injured? Which one is it? Because 3 weeks is not the same as 2 weeks. So when was he injured? Was it 3 weeks ago? Was it 2 weeks ago? Or maybe he was never injured because, how does the joke coach Roach go from saying, Manny's going to KO Floyd, when he knows his fighter is injured? Why would you say something like that? So that's, of course, how Manny was never injured. And this is one of the ways they're making excuses. He didn't stand still. Can you imagine, are you fucking serious? Are you telling me that Manny Pacquiao, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not even just his boxing IQ. This dude is so dumb. This dude is so dumb. For you to go on live television, who says that on live television? It's hard to throw many punches. But if he stood still, then I can throw more punches. What did Manny expect Floyd to stand there like a statue? And all you really have to do is look at Max Kellerman's reaction. It's just hilarious stuff. And this is why I say the comedy continues. You have to understand, guys, the reason why I keep referring to everything that comes out of the Manny camp as a comedy is because to me, it really looks like a pantomime. It looks like a comedy show to me. This is a camp which talked a great game. We're going to knock him out. We're going to do all this. Then you get embarrassed, basically. And then you say, I felt I won the fight. And if he just stood still, I would have thrown more punches. Then you go to post-fight press conferences and say, all of a sudden, my right shoulder was injured 3 weeks ago. The whole thing is very, very shameful. And it shows the true character now of Manny Pacquiao, where he's willing to lie to the public, you see. But you have Freddie Roach talking crazy in the background before the fight happened. We're going to do all these things. How can you talk so crazy if you know that your fighter has actually injured his right shoulder in training? Why would you talk all that crazy stuff that he was saying? So that's how you know Manny is once again coming up with excuses. Freddie Roach is coming up with excuses. Bob Arum are coming up with excuses because they know that Manny Pacquiao embarrassed himself. Thanks, guys, for watching this video. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.
But niggas can't see me big Shirley. Niggas can't see me big Shirley. 250 on the dash like scare me. Been getting money like yearly. Clearly you ain't near me. Clearly you ain't near me. Flow saucy, can't hear me till I get 200 more million. No